Yes, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Football Philosophy Podcast. This is episode 2 of season 2, and it's from match day number 2. And with me today are George, yours truly, Trey, and Jesse. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me again.
Yes, man, it's obviously big. It's obviously good to be on the show tonight. We've got obviously a lot of big topics to talk about.
Yes.
And look, George, man, it's good. This is two
On
pods in a
2
row.
weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row. So you've got to keep that
Wow.
pressure on next week. Consistency.
Pressure's on for next week, Abdi. Mr.
That's
Philosophy's
it.
pressure's on.
Well,
Should
we're
make it a
gonna
hat
be.
trick.
I'm all here for that, bruv. Monday Night Football. Well, we'll get into all of that. Liverpool Man United game. We're gonna preview that game in a bit. But yeah, Jesse, what are you saying, bro? You good?
Long time.
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good, man. Just trying to enjoy the football. Try. Yeah.
This is a therapy session. It's a
As you
therapy
guys
session
can
today.
tell, I've named this episode Man United hit rock bottom, and the point of this podcast today is to sort of like obviously review some Premier League games, but mainly is to dive into the main issues of Man United. Just I want everybody to have a go, a rant, whatever. This is like your therapy session, and I want whoever that's listening out there, watching out there, just get involved. Tell us about your opinions about what's going on in this club. How the hell did they get to the point where they're losing 4-0 to Brentford? Yeah, that's what we're gonna get into. So first I want to start with Jesse. Obviously, you wasn't here for last episode when they lost. Man United lost to Brighton. What did you make of the game and just overall the transfer window so far? Eric Ten Hag, has he made some decisions that were questionable to you, or do you think it's just there's something bigger going on here?
It's a lot of questions.
No.
Well, no. First with the game, obviously, it was probably the worst possible start we could have had. That's nothing to do with tactics. It's just a mistake by the keeper, isn't it? It's quite poor. But then it just has the same old pattern from like last season, really, doesn't it? Like we concede, the team capitulates, they lose hope, and then the floodgates open. I mean, it's not. I think it was like the 7th time we've conceded 4 in the last 30 odd games now. So it's not. It wasn't really a shock, to be quite honest with you. From that perspective, yeah.
Yeah, no, sure. But what is it about this team? Like, how did they get to the state where they're losing 4-0 to Brighton, 4-0 to Everton, 4-0 to Brentford? They just seem to 5-0 obviously to Liverpool last season, and then another 4-0 away to them, 3-1 defeat to Arsenal. What is it that about this team that just makes them just give up and just not even try harder?
I think it's just a mixture of things. I think, obviously, I don't think a lot of the players are good enough, to be honest. And I know obviously the teams that they're losing to, they're better than, they're supposed to be better than Watford, they're better than Leicester, Brighton, Brentford. But overall, I think they're not good enough. I don't think a lot of them have desire or the right mentality. And I think soon as there's a bit of trouble, a bit of adversity, they go missing. So I think it's just a mixture of different reasons, but yeah, just overall, they're not really good enough, are they, to be honest?
But in terms of the quality, yeah, we know that obviously they've got some issues. But are they seriously so bad? Yeah, George, I want to come to you on this one because you're a Liverpool fan, but I want to hear your opinion about this. Yeah, are they so bad that they have to lose by so many by such a big margin in every game? Or is there something deeper going on in this club? Is there obviously is there squad disharmony? What is the how did they get to this state? Do you have any idea as a follower of the Premier League?
I think, as I said last week, it seems to be like a lack of direction. Like you went from Moyes to Van Gaal, Mourinho, Solskjaer, now Ten Hag. I saw a graphic this morning of I'll put it in the group chat after we're done, and it was every major signing United have made since 2013, which I believe was when Ferguson retired. The amount of big names who have walked through the door and left with their reputation like lower, like their stock is just lowered. As I said last week, Dan James, I think, is the only player that you've actually made a profit on of all those signings since you've got rid of Wolf, since Ferguson retired. So that shows how bad your recruitment's been. I know a lot of them have been free transfers, like Ibrahimovic, Falcao, Cavani, who are all like decent players, but there's so many players who have just walked through the door and just haven't lived up to it. I mean, even Luke Shaw doesn't look great. Martinez looks like he's going to get bullied week in, week out. To be honest, I actually think it's an absolute blessing for him that Nunes is suspended next week, because I would hate to know how that would go, because he looked threatening last night and he was getting pushed around by a five at the back defence. So how that would have panned out next week is pretty worrying for you guys. Maguire's just got no confidence. Varane's probably thinking, what have I got to do to start ahead of him? Donny van de Beek's probably thinking, what have I got to do to start a game of football? He was nominated for the Ballon d'Or before he signed. £30 million, £35 million, scored on his debut, and he just hasn't played football. Sancho, forgotten man. I don't really see what he offers to the team. Martial, forgotten man. Like it's just so bad. Your squad is so average, and what's worse than an average squad is a squad that has no confidence, doesn't look like they want to be there, seems to lack direction. I mean, the tactical naivety of Ten Hag to ask De Gea to play out from the back, like that first goal, as you said, was just a mistake. It happens. But to ask David De Gea to play out from the back and play Eriksen as a six, I don't understand that logic. I just don't. You need a striker desperately. It doesn't look like you're in for one. You've missed out on Rabiot, it looks like now, because you can't agree a contract with him. When I don't think a central midfielder is a priority, I think a defensive midfielder is a priority. So I saw someone this week say, what Premier League team would Scott McTominay get into?
None.
Genuinely, would he get into an 11 of a Fulham or of a Brentford or of a Nottingham Forest? I don't think he would. Genuinely, I don't think he'd get into the start 11 of Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, he will probably play centre back at Leicester City at best.
Trust me.
Because they always seem to lose the defenders to injuries.
Everyone who watches the Premier League with more than two brain cells can see Fred is average. He isn't going to take you to the next level. He might have some okay games. You might get an assist here and there. He's not going to take you to the next level. He's not going to be.
But that's George. This is the point that I want to get into, and this is the main discussion that I want to have with you guys. Yeah, is is it down to just simply recruitment, or is there something bigger going on here? Like with the owners, I'm talking about. Like, is Trey? What is your opinion about all of this? Like, where did they get it wrong so much? Like, is it just simple as the fact that, Sir Alex Ferguson and David Gill were there, and they basically sort of like, masked what was going on with the Glazers, and now we can see that they're just incompetent, or that they don't care about football, and all they care about is just the commercial side of it.
All right, let me ask you a question, Abdi, and obviously Jesse, you can get involved as well. Before the Glazers took over, how were Manchester United?
I mean, they won the league with Cleverley and Anderson in midfield. So,
no, I'm just saying, how will Manchester United run like as a club back before the Glazers? Like, how do you remember? Do you remember who the ownership were?
I think since Ronaldo
it was
since 2009, there has not been a single investment that I thought, apart from Van Persie, that I thought, all right, this is a good signing for the club. Like, who, apart from Van Persie, who did United sign since 2009 when they sold Ronaldo and Tevez? Did they really invest in this club? They signed players like Bebe, Alberton.
No, but it was before 2009 anyway, because they took over in they took over what 2004, didn't they, or 2003, around that
2006,
time. Yeah. And
so
in that time, I think they didn't. I don't think they signed Ronaldo or Rooney. That's before they took over. No, it's before they took over. But since they've taken over, if they haven't really spent any money until like after Fergie left. So
I
he
mean,
patched
they
up.
did sign. I think Carrick and Smith and Nani Hargreaves were signed during that time.
Mm.
I
Yeah,
think, but
yeah. And then once they sold Ronaldo, all that stopped because
yeah,
they sold him for 80 million. I
Mm.
think 60 million of that was used to refinance the loan that they used to leverage to buy the club, whatever. And then that's when those signings that you just mentioned started happening. And then I think the season after that, we got Ashley Young, Phil
So
Jones.
yeah,
Then,
so
yeah.
then it
would you
just starts
boys?
to.
Smalling.
It goes
Yeah.
down. So would you boys say that in terms of the management side, ownership side, we were sort of naive to think that splashing money on all these signings would be the main solution to actually build a team that could challenge on major fronts? It was a very scatter sort of gun approach in terms of the signing. There wasn't any vision. It's only right now, like I'll leave it here. This is my last point. Manchester United in this sort of modern era, it's taken them what, nearly 10 years to finally get a director of football to have. It's just it's crazy. Let me just
But
leave
it's
it there.
still.
It's crazy.
But
It's crazy. It's
even.
taken us long to do things that are in this generation known to be the norm.
But
Like
even
how many
even with him, even with him in charge, it's still a scattergun approach. Because if you look at how we've been linked with players the last
Yes.
2 weeks, it doesn't look like any of this was planned at the start of the window.
yeah,
Because if
Yes.
they wanted Rabiot, they could have got Rabiot at the start of the summer.
Yes.
Like
No, you're right.
Juventus gave him his marching orders from before preseason started. So that's just
Mm,
clearly like they've been told about it and they tried to make it happen at the last minute because of what's happening with the team on the pitch
But
at the
also,
moment.
like, how
And then
crazy
you
is
got
it? Yeah.
Arnautovic.
So
None of the Arnautovic. Who else have we been linked? Gakpo. We've been linked with
been linked
the
with
one
a
at
few players.
Atletico.
Cunha.
Mm.
Yeah, this is none of this is still a scattergun approach. There's no planning behind this. There's no structure to this.
There's no structure, but I do believe that Ten Hag is, trying to get the players that he obviously wants. And what I'm trying to say is things can't just happen straight away, man. We can't think that miracles are going to happen straight away. If you look at
I'm not
Klopp,
blaming. I'm not blaming the gaffer.
it,
I'm just talking about the
ownership,
targets and
yeah,
yeah, and
yeah.
how they're going after players and what is the plan and
Mm.
if they fit his style of play. Because I don't think any of these guys. Well, he's worked with Arnautovic already, but I don't think he wanted Rabiot at the start of the window,
Yeah.
for example. So you know,
No, it's good points. I can't lie, it's good points, man.
But why is it that it's taking them so long? Yeah. Okay, fine. Even with Ten Hag, yeah, I feel sorry for him, guys. Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna obviously blame him or anything, but like, if you cannot get your main target in midfield, which is Frankie De Jong, you can see that it's taking forever. Yeah, and even if you think you're gonna get him at the end of at the end of the transfer window, why can't you just think to yourself, all right, I'm gonna go for a backup midfielder or even like a second option or someone that can basically replace either McTominay or Fred? Or is it just a case where he's given these guys a chance to prove themselves and then now you can see that they're not good enough and he's just gonna get rid of them in the end?
oh, look, he probably wants De Jong because he's worked with him before, but I think there was a mixture of he wanted to see for himself if it was as bad as it is because when in his first press conferences he was talking about this team finished second a few seasons ago, even though that was basically it was a COVID season behind closed doors. They were all they're practically friendlies, wasn't they, that season? None of it really meant anything, if we're being honest. So you can't really take anything that happened that season seriously.
Okay,
But
this is my next point is um my next point, and this is actually something that Nathan Best wanted to talk about, but I don't think he's going to be able to join us today. So I want
Yeah,
us to just touch on this point a little bit. And George mentioned this earlier, which
yeah.
is Lisandro Martinez. Like, why is there such a big deal about this guy's height? Like, was he seriously at fault for all of the 4 goals that this club has conceded? Was he present for all of the madness that was going on last season? Why is this obsession with Lisandro Martinez? Why is Harry Maguire protected by the media? The captain, the leader, who's supposed to be the man that that's supposed to play, as a leader for this club. Where was he last season? He's the one that's conceding all of these goals. Why is no one talking about Maguire? Why is this obsession with Martinez? Can someone explain it to me?
Honestly, if I'm look, this is just coming through straight facts here, Abdi, man, and this will probably calm you down. Over the years, Manchester United have been so successful to the point where we're the only British team to win the treble. I'm sorry, George, but these things just have to be said. Now, over the years, the hatred for the club is obviously going to be quite big. So, at the moment, we're the right targets for social media trollers. So Twitter, that sort of platform, they picked a quote from what the manager said. Brentford's manager, he obviously said that they targeted Martinez for that game. I do feel that
he's so smug. I hate that guy, bro.
I do feel that for that game, tactically, Ten Hag should have gone for Varane because of the size of Tony and the other striker. So maybe for a different game, Martinez would have played better. It may be a defensive midfielder role, who knows? But at the end of the day, mistakes were made, and hopefully the boys can just move from this. And look, you're playing for Manchester United, so the stigma, the hatred, it's all part of the territory, man.
No,
These boys have to clock out.
But Trey, this is more than just about hatred of Man United and that. I just want to get into this. I just want to understand, why do people like to copy each other? Like, someone picks on a point, even if it's not true, people will still talk about it like it's the biggest deal in the world.
No, but what you have to look at is he wasn't directly at fault for any of the goals. That is kind of correct. Even though some of the phases in some of them goals, he was a bit complicit, but end he wasn't. Yeah, but you also have to be honest. Like, he didn't have a good game. Like, he didn't have a good game. He got hooked.
But who had a good game? That's what I'm saying. Who had a good game?
No, but all I'm saying is he didn't have a good game. So the things that people are saying about him at the moment are true. And no one signs centre-backs for the Premier League that high. They don't, because this is more physical league, it's more direct, it's more aerial. Like Eredivisie and maybe League or maybe Serie A are a bit more technical. It's more on the, they get ball down and play. They don't really put balls in channels. They don't put balls over the top like that, like we do in England. So it is going to be a problem here. You saw the way Liverpool were playing yesterday when they were chasing the game. Everything was over the top. Everything was in the channels. Everything was like basically to scrap on, wasn't it? And that's how a lot of teams play in the Premier League. If you're 5'9", and you're going up against a Tony or a Calvert-Lewin, if it was Nunes next week, it is going to be a problem for a centre back of that size. And that's what I was talking about earlier, where it's a scattergun approach. And I know Ten Hag wanted him, but that's where if you have a director of football and you sit down with the manager, they build you a list of players that are similar to the ones you want, then you bring in someone like, I'm not saying that he would have been the solution, but someone like a Pau Torres, who is more of a profile that could suit the Premier League, but he can still play football as well. So it's just little things like that. But
you're 100% right.
I can see why, he's getting criticism, but they still need to give him time as it's only 2 games in.
Yeah, no, definitely they need to give him time. But also, I need to say this, I feel safe watching Martinez with the ball than any of other Man United defenders. I feel safe, 100%. And also, when he's going one-on-one or he's trying to stop the transition or the counter-attacks, I feel 100% safe with this guy because he's fast, he's tenacious, he's aggressive. And even Ivan Toney, he was asked about this year, and he was asked, like, did you target this guy? What did you make of him? And he just said, listen, it was 50-50. Sometimes you beat me, sometimes I beat him. It's that simple. So he didn't come out and say, like, yeah, I destroyed him. You know what I mean?
No, I'm not saying that he didn't I'm not saying anyone destroyed him. I'm just saying that he didn't have a good game. I know no one really had a good game, but I'm
why
just
is
saying
he being picked on? This is what I want to understand.
But
Why?
it's part of the
Why is
territory.
no
Remember,
one being?
look, he's a.
Why is no
I've-
one talking about Maguire?
He's part of the
I think
territory,
everyone.
man.
No, but I think
Everyone's
people
targeted.
everyone talks about Maguire every game, don't they? So I don't
Mm.
think he's not getting away with anything.
So
I think
he's basically
they're
the
quite
new guy
critical of him.
to target.
Yeah, because
Because
he's
they
our
got
new
tired.
player.
They got
Our new
tired.
player. We signed
No,
him for
but
60 million. We hijacked Arsenal to sign him, and Arsenal fans are gonna be like, "Oh, you paid 60 million for
no,
him," and we
and
all of that
we
stuff
have
is
to just.
just
But also, we got to be honest as well. He's getting criticised because he didn't play well and the team was shit.
yep.
That's why. So it's not only him. Ericsson was getting criticised. Bruno Fernandes was everyone's getting criticised because they're
Oh,
playing poor at the moment.
Bruno,
So
like
I think
he.
I'm not like I'm not. If I thought it was unjustified in the way that they're criticising him, then I would say. But I don't think it's completely unjustified. You know.
Okay.
No, you're right.
George.
Before we signed him, I had my reservations about him for some of those similar reasons.
Oh, I did as well. But after watching him against Brighton, I said, listen, and not even against Brighton, it was actually against Rayo Vallecano, this first game. I was like, I'm happy with this guy, bro. I'm happy as Larry, like because of what I've seen from other defenders. Like I'm happy to go to the rest of the season with Varane and Martinez. But I want to come to George on this point. Yeah, sorry. When you look at Man United, yeah, like for example, now, do you think it will make a big difference if they just drop, let's say, Maguire and basically take the captaincy of him, like basically Steven Gerrard done with Tyrone Mings? Do you think it will make any difference here, like in terms of the manager putting his authority across and actually doing what he wants to do?
It's a good question.
I don't think so. Because I just don't, as I said, I just don't think you're good enough. Is that sort of simple? Really, I think, as you said, from the top to the bottom, there's a lot going wrong. And one thing that I want to point out is 85% of the players United have been linked with this summer are players who Ten Hag knows from the Dutch league or who he's managed in the past. So that, for me, is a sign of his complete lack of faith in the recruitment team and his scouts.
Yeah,
That he just wants to pick players who he knows.
yeah,
Which, when you're just looking at the Eredivisie, is pretty slim pickings because it's not the same as the Premier League. Now, that doesn't mean that players can't be a success coming from it, but it is a different ballgame. And I look at players like Lisandro Martinez, and you can be a good centre half at 5'9", 5'10". You've got a good reach, good jumping height rather, or you've got good movement off the ball. You're intelligent. I've not seen enough of Martinez to make a judgment. It's my understanding that he can play as a 6, although he hasn't played there for a couple of years. He's good with the ball at his feet. You don't have a 6 who can actually receive the ball from the defence, as proven by Brentford's second goal. Well, that was mostly De Gea's fault, to be fair to Eriksen, and Eriksen isn't a number 6.
yeah.
So it seems to me that he would be better suited to that role. You've still got Lindelof, Bailly, Phil Jones, Varane, Maguire. So that's a good crop of centre half, even though they're not necessarily the best quality. I don't think dropping Maguire will be enough.
But what about the captaincy issue? Do you think there's an issue, or is it just not an issue at all?
I don't think the captaincy really matters. I don't know how much it will matter to the players, especially in a squad that looks like they're not that interested and don't really have that much confidence. I think the big names like the likes of Sancho,
But why are they not interested? Like why?
Because they don't
That's
look
what I wanna
interested.
know.
If you look at their performances, the performances are spineless. There's no reason. You have a £1 billion team and they've lost 4-0 to Brentford. No disrespect to Brentford, but that is spineless. There is no excuse for that. Zero. You've got Ronaldo up front. Granted, he's 37, but you're still Cristiano Ronaldo. You've got Sancho, who's a 75 million pound player. Lisandro Martinez, 60 million pound player. Maguire, 80 million pounds. David De Gea, Luke Shaw. Granted, you've got McTominay and Fred in midfield, but as I've said, that's a problem with the recruitment because it's been clear for 2 or 3 years that those two aren't good enough, yet they're still there. And Lisandro Martinez, it looks like Ten Hag doesn't want to play him as a 6 because he knows he can play there. He still hasn't played there. He could have put him as a 6 at half time in the Brentford game, but he didn't. He took him off. And he's probably going to come up against Diogo Jota next week, who isn't a physical player, but he is actually very good in the air. I genuinely, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a Liverpool fan, it actually infuriates me how bad you are because the players are showing a complete disrespect to the club and to the fans. And I think that there's a very real chance that you won't even finish in the top half of the season. I mean that.
Okay.
I know it's only been 2 games.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
my
mate.
mate said. Yeah, sorry, George. Sorry. Yeah, I've said me and my mates are having that conversation as well, and I think that too, to be quite honest, because I think it's what George said earlier is when you look at like your McTominays, your Fred, some of these players, if you name them, forget the top 6 as well. Yeah, if you was gonna like look at each team, they wouldn't get in most of these teams in the league, not the top 6, the league. So if they wouldn't even get into other teams in the league, why on earth are they at United? And even with the Brentford game, they outran us by 13.8 kilometers. That's crazy stuff. That's crazy, and that happened so many times last season as well. So that's not just a Ten Hag issue. It wasn't a Ranić issue. It wasn't an Oli issue. It's these players, and they just
but
don't.
surely
the front three didn't track back.
But surely the amount of quality, that in this team,
it's not
is
quality,
good enough to finish.
No, it's not about quality. It's about desire and work ethic as well. That's more important than the quality. Because
you know what? I'm not gonna lie, lads. Yeah, and someone brought this up the other day, and it honestly just made me think. And on Martial, the injury for these first 2 games, I'm sorry to say, man, but in terms of the interlink with Rashford and Sancho, because they looked with Ronaldo or whoever was playing in that false 9 role, they looked a little bit lost. Whereas with Martial, I see there's some interchange between some of the plays going forward. I think also Martial did make a difference in terms of what he's bringing this season. So he's also a factor in terms of his attacking options. Look, the midfield, the defense, that's a whole different subject. But in terms of going forward, I think Martial's also a good option. And if we can get another striker in and just try to balance things out, because at the moment, it's not an issue of the players. Like obviously the players are not good enough, but it's mainly a mentality thing which has been built over the years. So Ten Hag can't just come in straight away and fix things straight away. It's going to take time for him to build his team, implement the philosophy. So we're going to have to ride through this painful storm, because if you look at what Klopp did, I hate using this example, but it's facts. You look at Klopp and look, correct me if I'm wrong, George. When Klopp came into Liverpool...
You know the difference, though? Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
The only thing I want to say is FSG they run the club completely different to the Glazers. So it's not even 100. The Klopp. It's not just what Klopp came in and did. It's what they all done together. And that's the difference. Klopp's a world-class manager, but the setup behind him is the same standard. That's the difference as well. Not the only difference. Klopp is a superb manager and they've done really well with the recruitment, but it comes from working in tangent, doesn't it? So it doesn't. You could have anyone. You could have the best manager in the world in charge. If they've got to work with these players and then they can't get any targets through the door because these can't negotiate and bring in anybody, what can any manager come in and do with this team?
But also, is the motivation.
That's the issue, because there isn't a manager. Like, if the players don't want to be there, they don't want to be there. And you can't even attract new players now, because even though you're Man United, like, I think you got Lisandro Martinez on the technicality that he knew Erik ten Hag. Darwin Núñez didn't even want to know. He blocked your number. He was like, I don't even care. I'm not even going to use you as leverage in my negotiations with Liverpool. He didn't want to hear it. As you pointed out, 13 kilometres outran by Brentford. The front 3 didn't track back once. I know Ronaldo physically can't really do that. It's not really expected of him. But even when I played under 15 Sunday League, like we knew as a left wing and a right winger to track back when the defence needed help. And we got beat 5-0 every week, and we could still manage that. So when Jadon Sancho is earning £350 a week as a 21-year-old, 22-year-old, whoever, it's not acceptable. And unless you have a manager who will actually put his foot down and drop Ronaldo, drop Sancho, give Martial away, terminate his contract for like I don't think he's the answer. I think I think if you terminated his contract, I think he'd be lucky to find a club. There would be some club like maybe Nottingham Forest would take a punt on him if he took a 70% wage cut, because he doesn't track back, he doesn't run. Like basic things like running and desire and aggression is absent in that team. Even to be fair, when McTominay first came into the team under Solskjaer, I watched him and I was like, at least he actually runs, at least he actually gets about. As a squad player, he might make it. But even now it's past that. Like I would hate to be a player in that squad because everyone just looks like they're looking to each other for an answer. Like they're so tired.
Yeah.
When Liverpool went on that run a couple of years ago, when we had all those injuries, we lost 6 games in a row at home, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. And it was just like everyone was looking at each other like, what the fuck's going on? Like no one knew what to do. Like it's like they've just forgot how to play football. And I've watched Man United and seen the highlights, watched the games. You are just so poor for a club that has £1 billion squad. Like you can debate about should Maguire be dropped or stripped of the captaincy. It doesn't matter. Something has to change deeply at Manchester United.
What is that? What needs to change?
Do you know what the one saving grace is? If Ten Hag can find players and make them better, that's going to be the difference. Because that was the difference with Klopp at Liverpool. Because if you actually look at the acquisitions that we've made since Klopp came in, our transfer committee was pretty much the same as what it was under Brendan Rodgers. So systemically, the club actually still functions the same, and we had very poor recruitment for the most part under Brendan Rodgers. Now, players like Andy Robertson or Virgil van Dijk or Trent Alexander-Arnold or Joel Matip or even Wijnaldum, players like Roberto Firmino, none of these players were touted as he could become a world-class star. Yet every single one of them has. We signed Andy Robertson for £8 million from a Hull City side that was relegated. He was looked at as a squad player behind Moreno when he first came. And he's been made into a better player, partly because of what we talked about last week, is the club has a philosophy and a vision of how they want to play. You can coach players into that system, and if they have the attributes and the core skills to do it, and then you can fit them into a team, it works. Firmino, we didn't know how to use him when Brendan Rodgers signed him, and he was playing as a left wing. He didn't have any pace, and he was used in like this new role or this false nine, drop deep, defensive striker, whatever you want to call it, and it worked. And he's taken all these players and made them better. He has been helped by the fact that we've done good transfer business in how we've negotiated the players that we've sold and actually generated a lot of cash that way. Like if you look at the likes of Minamino, we doubled our money on him. He didn't really do much, but he's been working in comparison to what United have been for the last 9-10 years on a shoestring, and he's taken players and made them better and actually fitted them to a philosophy. If Ten Hag can do that, then he stands a chance. If not, then United are in trouble in the long term. Genuinely, because if you don't qualify for Europe this season, I don't know how you're going to attract players next season, and you can't lean on the fact we're Man United, because players are starting to see what that club actually is at the moment and the situation that it's in, and it's really, really bad.
Okay, so the question that I have here is with this club here, you've got a lot of players who think that they've already basically got legendary status in the game, or even playing for Man United. Like there's too much ego going on about how does you do. Let's say, for example, now the Liverpool game. Just if I come to you, what is one instinct change that he can make, or changes, should I say, that will have an impact straight away, that we can say like, yo, listen, this guy is basically stamping his authority on the team.
I know one player, you know.
I don't think there's just one player. I think
not one player, but I know there's something that for me, and look, I could start this off because I just know instantly. Luke Shaw for me shouldn't be starting, man. I'll play Malacia. Honestly, I'll play him because in terms
I was gonna say, obviously, whoever didn't play well against Brentford. No, most of them didn't, but you can't change your whole 11. But that's a start.
Okay. Let me say this. Give us your 11. That will start against Liverpool.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, that's perfect. On the spot,
Um,
mate. Straight in. Oh, were you putting in goal?
Tom
that's a good
Heaton.
question.
Tom Heaton.
No,
Tom
look, I
Heaton, yeah.
think I would start Varane. I'll definitely start Varane. Um,
Are you starting
I'd start
Wan
Varane with
Bissaka?
I'll start Varane
Ooh.
with Lindelof.
Lindelof's injured. He's injured.
No, but I don't think I don't know if he's the way he's talking. He might make that game.
Oh,
I
swear.
think,
Oh,
but
okay.
do you know what the thing is? You can name a starting lineup. I could continue, but there's for that game. I don't think it matters. That game is like whoever plays. They just need to show some desire and effort and work rate and
Play for the
try to
badge,
not
man.
make it embarrassing. Like,
Just play
do
for
you
the
know what I mean?
badge.
That's
I think
because
that's
there's
the most important.
you can name other players like Elanga, or you can name other people that started against Liverpool the last time when we lost 4-0. So it doesn't matter who
But
in
if
this
you
current
start
squad.
the same team again, or you start, let's say, Rashford and Sancho again, for example, aren't you just rewarding mediocrity? Aren't you just saying
No,
that,
no, no.
listen, you can lose 4-0 to Brentford, but I'm still going to start you against Liverpool? Rashford and Sancho need to be dropped. Simple,
For
because
who?
they didn't do. I'll bring in Garnacho, bro. I'll bring Garnacho in, and what's the other guy? Elanga. I don't care. At least they'll work hard.
Yeah, but we'll see in it. We'll have to see who starts. But
Yeah,
I
who's
just
your
think,
team? What's your back four though?
Who?
What's
My
your
team.
yeah, I would start Malacia. I would have started him anyway. I didn't see the point of buying him and sending Tellers away
what?
for him to
Why are
just
they
sit on the
buying it?
bench.
That's my only sort of frustration because, like, obviously with the United app, you do your little prediction team and all of that. I normally put, look, honestly, I put for the first game in, I've put Malacia left back because during preseason we saw, he was playing games, he was getting into the rhythm, he was going forward, he was tenacious, and he looks like someone that generally wants to come in and play for the badge. Like at the end of the day, like George is 100% right. There's just little things, just putting money aside, putting everything aside, just little things like protecting your teammates and working together and communicating and having that spirit, like all of that's been, I would say, lost like in these sort of past 10 years because we've had so many changes and the direction. So I agree with what everyone's saying. It's a collective thing in terms of management, ownership, all come together for 10 years, and now it's obviously turned into this. But my only belief is I've studied Ten Hag. I obviously I believe in his ideas. There's nothing about delusional or nothing. You look at the players that he's developed for Mayax, they've obviously been able to go off and do some big things at big clubs. Clearly, he has a philosophy in place. Now, it's going to be a painful storm that we all have to go through because there's going to be players that's leaving. He still needs to figure out his squad. Remember, this is the second Premier League game. I'm sure he doesn't know what his starting lineup is, which is bad for a manager at this point not to know their starting lineup, but it's looking like he's experimenting. Naivety was definitely in play when he started McFred for the first game because for me, I was genuinely expecting, especially after the window that we had, I thought at least we'll be seeing that one of them, not both of them, starting. I agree with George. They're not players that would start in this team, but squad players to have in and around the squad, for
They're not even
they're
good
all
enough
right
for
to
that.
have.
No, they're not even good enough for that. And
No, Fez, Fez.
I think that's the issue. I think there's a lot of them type of players that they're not even squad players. They're just not good enough in any way, shape or form.
Shape or
And
form,
I think
yeah.
I think it's even telling that we can't even get rid of anyone as well. So like
Because
we
the
don't want.
wages.
It's not even just the wages. Clubs not even trying to put bids in to get negotiations started to, even say that we would cover some of the wages. They're not even trying to get any of these people.
Yeah.
So people like we've got, I like him, but you still got Eric Bailly. We still have Phil
I like him
Jones.
as well. Yeah, I
We've got
like him. Yeah.
Wan-Bissaka. Whatever.
Phil
I don't
Jones.
really mind
Oh
him,
my God.
but we
How's Phil
still
Phil
Jones
got
Jones still with the
survived?
club,
Yeah.
yeah.
You
And
didn't want to
this is
give your
the
shirt to Varane.
yeah, and then it's £30 million was spent on Ahmad. What's happening with him? Is he even good enough? So there's loads of these players that are just there. Like if you went through the list, we've got a massive squad, and none of them are good enough.
Okay.
You know,
Another question that I have for you guys is the future of Cristiano Ronaldo.
Ooh.
My feeling, personally, guys, my feeling is that, and this is nothing to do with facts because I don't have any information on this. But my feeling is that Eric Ten Hag would want to get rid of Ronaldo. Basically, just let him go and just start fresh with other players. But the Glazers are making so much money from having a superstar like Ronaldo in their team in playing for the club, and as a result, he's basically stuck with this guy up front who doesn't really want to be there. So what's the solution with this? Like, what do you guys think?
Do you want to start off, Jesse?
just let him go. I think it's quite like that's what other clubs do. When them players that have left Man City this summer, they all wanted to leave. That's why they've been moved on. I'm sure Pep wouldn't have minded if he kept Sterling. It wouldn't have bothered him if he kept Jesus.
Jesus.
I don't think he wanted to get rid of Zinchenko. I think they all wanted to leave, so they let them go. I think it's the same with Liverpool with Mane. If they could have made him stay, probably to see out his contract for was it 1 year left on his contract?
Yeah.
They could have forced him, you're staying, you got a year left, but they just let him go because he wanted to leave. Just let players go when they want to leave. We've done the same thing with Pogba. And
But
we kept
shouldn't
Lingard.
shouldn't Eric Ten Hag be pushing for this? Like, really push for him to leave.
But we
He's
don't.
probably, we
He
don't know
probably
what's
is.
going on in the back end. We don't know what's going
Yeah,
on in the back
I
end,
think
Abdi, man.
he
He
might be.
probably
He might be
is.
saying. But then we've seen this board when other managers have wanted to get rid of players, the board have vetoed it. So we know that's probably what's happening here with Ronaldo. But if he wants to leave, just let him go, man, because it causes too many problems. Whether he stays or not, yeah. Whether he stays or not, and Man United don't sign any more players, we're still going to have a disaster of a season. Just have to be honest, yeah. So just let him go and start the rebuild,
Start fresh.
because this is going to take long either way anyway. This is not going to be. That's what I said to you when we done it at the start of the season. I wasn't expecting us to finish top four anyway, even
Oh,
before
no,
this
no, no,
problem
no,
started.
definitely not. We all
So
said top six, but even that
yeah,
is looking unlikely now.
yeah. So just get the ball rolling. If he wants to
Yep.
leave, let him go. There's no point having
Okay,
him round there.
Trey,
He's
if
sulking.
if if you're in Eric Ten Hag's position,
Oh, I love
and
that.
let's say you don't get your top targets, and you're stuck with a superstar who doesn't want to be there, would you walk away?
Nah, but I won't walk away from the job. But um, if regardless, I think he would have to
But what
have.
is the point of being there if you can't get the players that
No,
you
no, no.
want,
But this is
and
what I'm
you're
saying.
basically stuck
The
with
thing
with a
is,
player
the
who
thing
doesn't want to be
is, the
there?
thing is, Abdi. This is what you have to understand. We only have access to a certain part of the world. Like we don't know what's going on in the back end. Ten Hag is probably, we don't know. He's probably going mad and trying to get that solution resolved because at the end of the day, for both the club and for Ronaldo, the link is not there. Ronaldo wants Champions League football. Man United can't give him Champions League football. A player wants to leave, we should let him leave. So right now, the club should be focusing on that scenario first because I think that scenario is unsettling the dressing room as well. Because I'm not gonna lie, before the Brentford game, when you're just looking at the walk up, you're looking at some of the Brighton players, they were up for it. Do you know what I mean? Whereas you look at sort of United, you saw Ronaldo sort of walk in. You didn't really see a unity. You didn't see a team that was ready to go to war. Because at the end of the day, it's an away game at Brentford, West London. This
Yeah,
ain't no. These guys are gonna come and scrap because we're wounded animals right now. So teams right now are gonna be hungry and go for it. So these
yeah.
players,
No, you're right. Obviously, that hunger, the desire, the
Yeah,
work ethic. It's just even just giving care about the club. It was nothing was there. George, would you just protect your reputation as a manager? Would you just walk away by the end of this transfer window, even if it's just a few games, or do you think like he will think to himself like, I'll get fired and I'll just take the money?
He could do. It's not uncommon for. I mean, Conte did the same thing at Chelsea. He did the same thing at Inter Milan. He said,
Yeah,
"You made promises. You've not backed me with the players that I want, and things like that." So, to be honest, the state the club's in, it's not even particularly unlikely. I don't think that will happen, but yeah, honestly, it's just an absolute mess, and I think it doesn't really. It's almost like it doesn't even matter what Ten Hag does tactically or in the transfer market because it doesn't matter what instructions he gives to the players. As you said, if they don't run, if they don't have the basic level of desire to win a game of Premier League football, it doesn't matter. It's
Simple
like having
this,
the
man.
best car on an F1 grid and not having petrol in it. It's like it doesn't matter what you do. If it doesn't have petrol, it's useless. You know what I mean? Like if
yeah,
the likes of
yeah,
Sancho aren't going to press or track back, and your
absolutely.
centre half who's low on confidence or fullbacks who's vulnerable or the midfield's weak as we know it is, as we've mentioned
Yes,
plenty of times already, it's absolutely worthless. I think perhaps signing players will be a way to inspire the squad, perhaps. But again, that's what you recruited Ronaldo and Varane last summer. Like those are two huge names, and Jadon Sancho, and it wasn't
yeah,
very good, was
yeah,
it? So it's like
yeah,
even that didn't work in that sense. Um, I think something Arteta did well when he joined Arsenal was he realised he didn't have a huge amount of resources financially to begin with. He realised that there were a lot of, sort of average players in the squad, and he looked at the likes of Saka, Smith Rowe, Martinelli.
yeah.
I think there was another one in there as well. Saliba's come back off loan now. He's getting integrated into the squad. I don't know what United's youth players are like at this current stage, but maybe that's a way to go. Again, just on the basic level of they're going to have some level of desire to actually work for the shirt. Like
Yeah,
Elanga, you can see that he
yeah,
works, you can see that he runs.
Yeah, yeah.
Joe Garner, I've never watched Joe Garner play, but he's been linked with a move away. Apparently, he's a half decent player. Like, why is that the case? So, young English centre midfielder being linked with Spurs and 3-4 Premier League clubs in for him. If there's clubs in for Joe Garner, then that automatically means he must be better than Scott McTominay because no one's going to sign
My
McTominay, are they?
days. You
For
know what?
15,
You're right.
20 million pounds.
You're absolutely right. And that's one of my things that I'm so sort of frustrated about, that we have James Garner, who's in our squad right now, who I feel, should be playing over McTominay or Fred right now, should be at least given that chance because from our academy, he put in the shift for when he obviously was on loan to Nottingham Forest in the
yeah.
Championship. He had put in the miles as well. So I definitely felt that he deserved some playing time, especially in that type of game as well against Brentford. For losing 4-0 at half time, I would have said, bring him on, man. Get on the pitch and show some heart.
Definitely, definitely. No, I do want to see players like Zidane, Iqbal. You know what? Even
Garnacho, Charlie
Even Charlie
Savage.
Savage, I would give him a chance. Just someone
They've
to try
loaned out
hard.
Hannibal. They've
Let's
loaned out
listen,
Hannibal
guys.
right now.
I want to hear your predictions for the Liverpool game on Monday night. Should we start with you, Jesse? Like, what are you predicting here? Another 5-0 spanking, or
Um, I don't know who's fit for Liverpool at the moment because there's quite a few out. They've not started the season exactly the way they expected to
oh,
either.
sorry to cut you off there, yeah. But if United win, they will actually go above Liverpool. They'll have more points.
I know.
That's enough. If you're not motivated, please tell me.
Yeah.
If you're not motivated, look, if a player, if this ever reaches a United player right now, if you are not motivated by the opportunity of going above Liverpool over one game, honestly, like,
But nothing motivates them.
That's Ten Hag's team talk sorted.
right,
Send that
the only
to Ten Hag.
motivation
Send that
they
over
have
to him.
is money. That's
Send
the
that
only
over to
motivation they
him.
have.
I think, yeah. In fairness, I'm sat here criticizing Man United. We haven't won a game yet, but the difference is, look, the Fulham game was a bit of a weird one. You can still see a level of quality in the football that we played in the second half against Fulham and the first half against Palace. We got caught by a couple game plans, silly decision from Nunes, things like that. But you can see that we're going to be okay. We're still going to be second, third, whatever
Yeah,
coming into the season.
Of
you're
course,
elite
of
team.
Even
course,
though we're
man,
not
of
favourites of the
course.
title at this
It's
stage, based
Liverpool
on how
right
it's
now.
gone.
So what's your prediction, Jesse? What are you saying?
Go for it, Jesse, man. You can't run away from that. I know you tried to. Go for it, man.
Come
You
on,
know,
come on.
Let's have it. Let's have it.
hear
Let's
what
have
you
it.
say.
you hate predicting losses against your own team, innit?
I know.
It's kind of crazy, isn't it? Even if I think, it's weird. Even if I know it in my head, I can't say it. But yeah, I'm yeah, probably, innit? Like,
Give us. You have to give us a number. You give us numbers.
Man.
Give us some numbers. And W or L? What you call it?
Oh yeah, 2-1 to Liverpool, man.
All right, yeah, he's
2-1 for Liverpool. Did you say 2-1?
Probably be worse. Yeah, probably be worse than that. But let's just.
Oh, just only 2-1. That's it.
Let's hope.
He's calming it down right now, man.
All right. What about you, Trey? What are you predicting?
Probably worse. But
you know what? At the end of the day, like I said, if the boys are not truly motivated by this opportunity, then I don't know, man. Like, why are you playing football for? Like, honestly,
money.
Yeah, money. But at the end of the day, like I was watching the game with a group of friends, and I was thinking, why am I not on the pitch, man? I would have been running about, like I would have been on it as well, because at the end of the day, like you're playing for Manchester United, man. The history behind the club, like when you think about, look, this player right here. Look at this player right here.
George Best.
One of our best players in our academy that we produced, right?
All right, cool. Come on, what are you predicting then? Come on,
I'm going for. Look, at the end of the day,
he's doing it as well. Look, this is
not
going to bite.
I have to. You know what? I have to.
You know, I have to. So many times at the end of the day, the day ended.
All right. He's pointing at pictures behind him with George Best. What's the score?
I love you boys. I love you boys, man. But yeah, you know what? These guys are gonna win. F it. They're gonna win it. Let's have it. Man. They're gonna win it.
What's the numbers?
No, there's no numbers, man. That's Liverpool and Man United. There's no numbers there. They're going for the W, and I hope.
Oh, so you're predicting a United win, but you don't know by how much.
I don't know by how many. I don't know by how much. Who's gonna score?
Yeah, you don't care. Anyone, innit? Own goal.
I would celebrate if McTominay scores, man. I don't care at this point.
I'll celebrate if anyone scores, of course.
That's what I'm saying, like. But look, that's delusional land. But at the end of the day, Liverpool right now, they are, they're a league team. They're top. So you can understand why they're going to be challenging for the title. But if the boys are not motivated by this, then I don't know. So I'm going for a W. I can't come in here and say we're going to lose. So I'm going for a W.
Okay. All right. So we got a Liverpool win, United win so far. George, what about you?
It's difficult to predict the score because I don't know who's going to be fit. But I think it'll be comfortable. I think at least 2 or 3-0 for Liverpool. I don't see us conceding. Yeah, I don't see United really laying the glove on us, to be honest. Even though we've not started our season particularly well, I just think United are
confident.
But you would be as a Liverpool fan. Come on.
And you say there's all this motivation for United to go above Liverpool and things like that at the start of the season. To be honest, there should be plenty of motivation to not get outrun and lose 4-0 to Brentford, regardless. And if you think Klopp is going to let that team go out there unmotivated after the start we've had, and on a normal day he wouldn't anyway, I don't think that really counts so much. We've got more quality, more desire. We've got, I think, more depth. I think we're fitter, more organised, more confident. But bar some freak event where we get an early red card or score a silly own goal, something like that, I don't think United have what it takes at all. I would go 2-3-0 for Liverpool, I think.
Okay, two,
Comfortable,
3 nil.
comfortable.
All right. So if you want to hear my predictions, guys, let me tell you a little bit before I tell you my prediction. Yeah,
Yeah, go for it.
the best part of being a Man United fan, yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, is before the game starts, because you have some sort of hope, and it's always, and
The
it's
best thing
always
about being a
that's
United
the
fan is
best
before
part.
the game starts. Oh
Yeah.
my
I
god.
Now
love
listen,
it,
guys,
man.
and then the game starts. Yeah, 2 3 minutes into the game, you think to yourself like, "What the hell was I excited about? Like, what was I
Do you
looking
know what's
forward to?"
funny?
And then
That's
Can I tell you
reality
exactly
about,
comes
how I
around.
felt. I can't
you
lie.
know, when they beat us 5-0 at Old
Yeah, yeah,
Trafford?
No,
yeah,
I was so excited for that game. I don't know why I was
trust
so
me.
excited. I thought
Trust
something
me.
yeah,
could happen. I was hoping for the
yeah.
best, and then it was curtains within
It was
minutes.
curtains,
You
man.
know what? At that
It was
game, we actually started very well, and Bruno Fernandes missed a very good chance. Who knows, man? Who
He's
knows?
been doing that a lot lately. I've been very angry with Bruno, man. I can't lie.
Yeah,
Like
he's been
he's
missing a lot of
skied.
early chances. But yeah, what I'm predicting, yeah, because the game hasn't started yet. I'm predicting United win. I'm predicting that United are gonna win 4-3.
Love
Four
that.
Yeah,
three.
You think
that's
you want to put
Love
four
that,
that.
past
Four.
Liverpool?
Who's
Lovely.
gonna
4-3.
score?
Yeah, yeah.
Lovely.
Four.
I mean,
Let's
Honestly,
go.
and this is
conceding
based
three
on
is believable.
it's based
Scoring four, I don't
on
think so.
no
Love
logic
it.
at all. Obviously, it's just pure emotions.
No, I
At
respect.
least
I
you're
like.
honest.
Yeah, fair
I
play,
love
man.
that, man. Let's
Fair play.
go. There's two of us, man.
Fair play.
Let's
But
go.
listen, guys, what I want to see is I want to see Sancho and Rashford, bravo. Like, I want to see our wingers take advantage of the Liverpool fullbacks when they go
To be
high up.
fair,
Because you have to remember this, yeah. Sorry, you have
I
to
wouldn't
remember this.
start them too.
Yeah, what's gonna happen here is Klopp is gonna be overconfident. Liverpool players are gonna be overconfident. Their fullbacks are gonna attack United like non-stop, and I want to see the wingers take advantage of that. And I want to see early balls to Ronaldo. I want to see Malacia start. I want to see Wan-Bissaka start. I don't care about that lot's
Yeah.
ball possession right now. All I care about is someone to get in defensively, and I want to see Malacia attacking down the left.
Yeah.
Rashford taking on players. I just want to see players playing with balls, man. Like, come on, man. It's
Yeah,
Liverpool. How
man.
can you
That's
not
what
be
I'm
Look,
saying.
happy
if
How
at
can
we
you
all?
not be
look,
motivated and up for this game, though,
if we
Jesse, man?
lose,
Exactly, man.
no, I'm excited. Look, if we lose, we lose. But they just need to just pull it in. That's if I can
Just
see
heart.
that.
Show a bit of heart.
Like if
That's
I
all.
can
That's
see
what I
that,
want.
and we lose, and I don't know, like I said, 2-1
Mm.
or something like that, and but they
That's.
pull it in. They tried.
Yep. Yep.
That would be a.
But
I'll still
also
be
remember
gutted,
this year,
but
Graham Souness, yeah, he was on Talk Sports the other day, and he was talking about the Man United Liverpool rivalry. And he said that even before Alex Ferguson got there, before the 80s, yeah, United obviously didn't win the league since, for like
Yeah.
20 years before that.
Yeah.
He
26.
said United used to give them hard time every time. Even though Liverpool were
yeah,
European champions, like winning
yeah.
Champions Leagues and European titles, the league titles, everywhere. The form has to go out of the window. It's
Yeah.
Man
Yeah.
United versus Liverpool. Logic goes out of the window. You have to just
100%.
pure emotions. But I want to see Brian Robinson, but obviously we don't have that.
I
We've
do
got
want to
Maguire
see.
here, so
I would like to see
Roy Keane as well.
Garnacho in the squad.
Oh yeah.
I'd like to
oh
see him in
man,
the
I
squad.
would
Yes, I
love
would
to see
love
that.
that. He would love. He would.
I'd like
He
that.
would be up for it. He would be up for it.
Yeah.
I think the reason why, even if it doesn't happen in the Liverpool game, but some of them youngsters have to play because they're not used to this situation. They ain't played in this team, so they wouldn't.
Yeah.
They're not used to the capitulation, or they won't have a lack of desire or anything. None of those things will affect them. So I would be playing some of them now as well.
It's a perfect opportunity for Ten Hag to make a statement to his squad ahead of a Liverpool game. And bear in mind, the expectations are so low anyway of Man United for this game, and I think that's been that's kind of proven by what you've all said. You guys are sat here saying if we put a shift in against Liverpool and maybe lose just 2-1, then I'll be happy. I remember until a few years back, growing up supporting Liverpool, I would dread playing Man United because I'd think we were never favourites. I'd have to go into school on Monday and get the piss taken out of me by 10 of my classmates because we were that bad.
Times have changed now, man.
Exactly. And now it's at a point where not only are you not favourites, you don't even expect to win, even if you're at your very best. And if on the unlikely chance that you actually put a shift in, if you put some youngsters into the squad, that they can communicate to the big money signings, the likes of Fred, who's a £50 million man, or Ronaldo or Sancho or Maguire, Varane, whoever, to say these players are favoured ahead of you because we think that they might just put a shift in, then that sends a real statement to the squad where hopefully some players might then realise
Yes.
Doing the basics, and in fact going back to basics as a football club and just making sure that they press as a team, or if a fullback makes an overlapping run that someone drops in, and basic structural things like that you learn as a kid playing football, then you might you might turn a corner. But
yeah,
I think all you guys don't really expect anything. I know two of you have predicted a win, but I know that you don't really believe that, do you? You wouldn't put your life savings.
No,
on
let's
that,
have it. Let's have it. I'm going for a win now.
I'm
going for a win now.
He did have the players in on Sunday as well. Been a lot of running, so I think he knows that it's not acceptable from what he's seeing from the players. So, but
yeah.
No,
guys,
I'm still
we're
looking forward to the game.
call it a day here. It's been absolutely fantastic, man. We didn't get a chance to talk about the other results. I really want to talk about Liverpool. Tottenham Chelsea game because I thoroughly enjoyed that game, man. But we've been going over an hour now, and we have to call it a day. It's getting late. We've got an early morning shift tomorrow. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us, Jesse, George, Trey. See you next time.